Assalamu alaikum everyone. I'm waiting for other students to join. Abdul Aziz Chaudhary. Okay. Wait for a while, just a minute. Let me see if any other student joins or not. You can also invite your friends to join. Inshallah, we'll immediately start our class. Okay, I think we can start our class right now. Those who are late, they will be late. No problem. Let us begin our class. So, So in the last class, I was discussing this question 4a. You can see the screen right now, isn't it? Dear students, you can see the screen. Is there any problem? No problem, I think. You can see Mehad is telling that yes, she can see. Safia, can't you see now? Still, you can't see? Hanadi can see. Safia, you cannot see. What is the problem? Okay, fine. Now it is fine. Okay, so question number 4a I discussed and I told you to revise organic chemistry as well. Let us come to, did I complete for B as well? Identify H, a minor product H. Okay, I think we discussed. So, question number 4b. A minor product H is also produced by reaction of HBr with propene. So, identify H. Minor product H is also produced by reaction of HBr with propene. So look at this, HBr with propene. So we know that major product, minor product, you know that giving oil to oily head, you remember, right? You remember this tips for getting the major product. For getting the major product, you have to tell that giving oil on oily head. Okay, simply. So wherever you have more hydrogen, so look at this carbon. In this carbon, we have more hydrogen. So hydrogen will be added here, and Br or other group will be added in this carbon. You know that reaction will take place only in carbon-carbon double bond, only in carbon-carbon double bond. So this is how you can get the major product. On the other hand, when hydrogen is added to the carbon having less hydrogen, then we will get the minor product. So minor product will be CH3, CH2, CH2, Br. This will be the minor product. Let us see, explain why C is a much more likely product of this reaction than H. So I will share my screen with you. Okay, look at the bottom of this page. I will look at this. You know that from alkene, when you get the addition product, I mean when alkene reacts with hydrogen bromide, we get an addition product. But during this reaction, you have learned the electrophilic addition mechanism, right? And during this mechanism, we get an intermediate. This intermediate could be 1 degree or 2 degree carbocation. If it is 2 degree carbocation, we have 2 alkyl group. You can see, right? You can see we have 2 alkyl group. Look at this one, this reaction again. We have started with propene, right? So propene, if hydrogen is added here, so this carbon will have a positive charge. So carbocation is formed here. At that time, we are having 2 alkyl group. How many alkyl group? 2 alkyl group. So this is 2 degree carbocation. And this one is 1 degree carbocation. Only one alkyl group. Look at this. Only one alkyl group around this one, right? Only one alkyl group. So this is 1 degree carbocation. Now 2 degree carbocation is obviously more stable because this positive charge will spread in a larger region. There are other reasons. This alkyl group, CH3, CH3 alkyl group, there is only one alkyl group, ethyl group. So alkyl groups are electron donating group. I can write it here. Alkyl groups are electron donating group. So you can, alkyl groups are electron donating group. Okay, alkyl groups are electron donating group. So they give positive inductive effect, right? So they give positive inductive effect. And makes the carbocation more stable. Okay, because the positive charge will spread in a larger region now. Okay, so this is the reason behind this. So let us come to the other part. Okay. So let's come to the next one. Isomerism occurs in many organic compounds. The two main forms of isomerism are structural isomerism and stereoisomerism. Many organic compounds that occur naturally have molecules that can show stereoisomerism. That is cis, trans, or optical isomer. Explain what is meant by structural isomerism. So you know the definition, but look at this one. I have shared this one with you. Let me revise these things once again. You know, same molecular formula but different structure formula. That is the definition of same molecular formula. Both of these terms should come. Both of these terms should come. Same molecular formula but different structural formula. Okay. Same molecular formula and different structural formula. Okay, look at this. Then isomers, I have again revising the types of isomers. There are two major types of isomer. One is structural isomer, another is stereoisomer. Again, stereoisomers can be divided into three categories: chain isomer, position isomer, and functional group isomer. Okay. Then stereoisomers can be divided into two categories: geometric or cis-trans isomer and optical isomer. Now, have a look at this one. I have given a couple of examples of this type of isomers so that you can understand. Chain isomer, from the name you can understand that it is a kind of structural isomer where molecular formula will be same, but structure will be different. How the structure will be different? In terms of chain. Look at this. Here we have only one chain. How many chain? We have only one chain. I have marked. So from one carbon to another carbon, you can go directly, right? In this compound, we have only one chain, right? We have only one chain. But look at this one. There are how many chains? There are two chains. This is one chain and this is another chain. So there are two chains. So what type of isomer are they? Chain isomer. Both of their formula are same, C4H10, but the chains are different. So they are chain isomer. Even if you look at the functional group will also be same. Now come to this one, but 1in and but 2in. But 1in and but 2in. So in this case, what is the difference? The difference is in the position of carbon-carbon double bond. Look at the position of double bond. Look at the position of double bond. Okay. Look at the position of double bond. You can see, right? Position of double bond. Here, position of double bond. It is in the second carbon. So they are position isomers. Now, come to these two compounds. Their molecular formulas are same. Their molecular formulas are same. C2H6O. Both of their molecular formulas will be C2H6O. But one is ethanol, an alcohol. Another is dimethyl ether. That means this is an ether. You can also name it as methoxymethane. Methoxymethane. This is our methoxy group. Methoxy group that substitutes one hydrogen from methane. So this is methoxymethane. This is how we define it. This is an ether. This is an ether, methoxymethane or dimethyl ether. This is a trivial name, but systematic name methoxymethane. So ethanol and methoxymethane, they have different functional group. The functional group is OH here. On the other hand, the functional group is O, freehand in both sides. So they are different in terms of their functional group. That's why they are known as functional group isomer. What type of isomer? Functional group isomer. These three types of isomers are our structural isomer. In structural isomer, they have same molecular formula but different structural formula. On the other hand, if you look at stereoisomer, let us see the stereoisomer. Let us see the stereoisomer. I have given the example of stereoisomer. Before that, let us go to other question. State two different features of molecules that can give rise to stereoisomer. So before giving this answer, let us see the one I was showing. Look at this one. The two conditions are asymmetric carbon atom or chiral center must be present. Asymmetric carbon atom or chiral center must be present. Then carbon-carbon double bond present. When carbon-carbon double bond is present, at that time we get cis-trans isomer. Look at this example. Look at this example. You can understand, hopefully. Here, alkene. If you consider this is a plane, we can consider this is a plane. Above the plane, I am cutting this plane. Above the plane, we are getting methyl group, right? And here below the plane, we are getting hydrogen. Now, if you twist one side only, you know that carbon-carbon double bond has a restriction towards the rotation. It has restriction towards the rotation. Because of double bond, the rotation cannot take place, right? Rotation cannot take place because you do not have the sigma bond only, you have a pi bond. So when the pi bond takes place, you know, pi bond takes place like this. So this is locked. This part is locked, right? This part is locked. As it is locked, you cannot rotate. You cannot rotate. So when you are twisting one side, I'm twisting one side only, other side remains same. When I'm twisting this side, you see H is going up and CH3 is going down. At the time, CH3 in the opposite side of the plane. If we consider this CH3 in the upper plane, this CH3, if we consider this CH3 in the upper plane, if we consider this CH3 in the upper plane, this CH3 will be considered in the lower plane, right? In the opposite side of the plane. But see, here it was the CH3 were in the upper side of the plane. In this case, CH3 are in the lower side. One is in the upper side, one is in the lower side of the plane. So these two structures are not same if you consider the three-dimensional structure. But when you consider the structural formula only, like what atoms or what groups are attached to this carbon atom, CH3 and H are attached. Here also CH3 and H. In this carbon, what are attached? CH3 and H. So in terms of structural formula, in terms of molecular formula, they are not different. They are same, right? They are same. But when you are considering the three-dimensional structure, when you are considering the geometry of this structure, at the time, both of this CH3 in the cis structure are above the plane. On the other hand, in the trans structure, one CH3 is in the upside of the plane and one CH3 is in the lower side of the plane. So this is our trans structure and this is our cis structure. As they are different in terms of their geometry, so they are called geometric isomer or cis trans isomer. Now let us see optical isomer. Let us see optical isomer. Look at this. When a carbon has 4 different groups attached to it, then this carbon is known as optical chiral carbon, or this center is known as chiral center. So what is chiral carbon? What is chiral carbon? The carbon atom which has 4 different groups attached to it is known as chiral carbon. Okay, chiral carbon. So you can see it, right? This is a chiral carbon. It is known as what? Chiral carbon. Now look at this one. When you have a chiral carbon, look at these two structures. First of all, their molecular formula should be same. Their structures are same. This carbon is attached with hydrogen, methyl, COOH, OH. This is also attached with the same thing. And if you think about the geometry, this is tetrahedral. This is also tetrahedral structure, right? Tetrahedral. So there is no difference in terms of their geometry even. But when you are passing light, at the time what happens? When you are passing light, what happens? If you think that you are passing light through this, so when you are passing light through this side will behave in one way, and if you pass the light in the similar way, it will not behave in the similar way. It will behave in the opposite way. Okay, it will behave in the opposite way. Suppose you are passing light through this one. So if there is no barrier, light will go automatically. But this molecule, this group will make a kind of barrier here, right? This group will make a kind of barrier. So when you are rotating a bit, when suppose this group is rotated a bit, suppose CH3 has now come here, at the time you might think that light is passing. COOH is being shifted, OH is being shifted, so light is passing. But if you try to do the same thing here, it will not happen. What will you need to do at the time to make the light pass? You need to rotate in the opposite way. So this CH3, earlier suppose this CH3 was shifted a bit, like CH3 has been shifted this much, okay? From the previous position, it has been shifted here. Now CH3 needs to be shifted. Suppose you are shifting CH3 here. You are shifting CH3 here. At the time, this movement will allow the light to pass from one side to another, right? So you are rotating this molecule into the right side. This molecule is rotating the light, monochromatic light, plane polarized light in one direction. Suppose it is moving anti-clockwise and this one is moving clockwise. If you consider this one, you will use the opposite direction. However, our main target is to explain that if one rotates the light into the right side, other rotates the light into the left side. In other words, if one rotates the light in clockwise direction, another will rotate the light into anti-clockwise direction. That means they are opposite. So they behave differently towards the plane polarized light or monochromatic light. So these compounds are known as optical isomers. There are no other differences. Okay, the only difference is the behavior in terms of monochromatic light. So they are known as optical isomers. Now let us go back to the question. So state two different features of molecules that can give rise to stereoisomers. So already I have discussed. Let us go back to the next one. Those who are answering, thank you very much. Abdul Aziz Chaudhary, Shafia Hussain, Shafia Husna, thank you very much for giving the answers. Let us see the next question. Unripe fruit often contains polycarboxylic acids. That is acids with more than one carboxylic acid. Polycarboxylic acid, from the name you can understand that it has more than one carboxylic acid group. In this compound also you can see that we are having more than one carboxylic acid group. I can simply underline this one. It is not here you see one CH. Okay, no problem. You can see in the left side, it is not allowing me to write anything or do anything. You can see a couple of there. You can see there are a couple of carboxylic acid group in the right side, as I am marking right now. On the right side we have a carboxylic acid group. In the left side we have a carboxylic acid group, and at the bottom we have a carboxylic acid group. Does citric acid show optical isomerism? Explain your answer. Some of you have already given the answer that it will not show optical isomerism. So let us check. If we consider this carbon, it is having two hydrogen, that means same group. If we consider this carbon, it is having OH, it is having COOH, it is having CH2 COOH. In the right side also we have CH2 COOH. That means this carbon is also showing the same group attached. As none of this carbon is showing four different groups, so it will not be chiral, it will be achiral. Okay, this citric acid will be achiral, so it will not show optical isomerism. Let us see. Dehydration of citric acid produces this compound, dehydration. So when dehydration takes place, what happens? You see COOH, COOH, COOH. Look at this one. All this look at this one. This COOH, this COOH, or this COOH. All these three are same. Where is the difference? The difference is, look at this CH3, CH2 same, CH2. Look at this one. Look at this. I'm marking COOH so that it will be easy for you to understand. I'm just highlighting. Okay. So look at this one. These three portions are same. Now, where are the differences? If you see this COH and from the nearby carbon, from this one hydrogen, like this hydrogen, and this OH has been omitted as water. So dehydration takes place. So we are getting a double bond, C double bond, CH double bond C. CH2 remains as it is. If you remove hydrogen from here and OH from here, you will get the same thing, because both sides we have the same group, so no problem. Wherever we have OH and wherever we have OH, from there we will lose OH, and from the nearby carbon we will lose one hydrogen as water. So this is how we will lose water. Let me mark it. Okay. So water is removed. So we are getting this compound. Draw the structure of the repeat unit formed by the addition polymer of this molecule. So for repeat unit, I will just show you. Look at this one. Here I have drawn the monomer C double bond C. I taught you a very simple technique. You remember? Simple technique that always draw a structure like C double bond C, then A, B, C, D. This is how you have to draw the structure. This is how you'll get the monomer. Okay? You'll get the monomer in this way. C double bond C, A, B, C, D. You can see it, right? So this is our A. We can think this is A, this is B, this is C, and this group is D. So once we get the monomer, the repeat unit is absolutely easy. You have to simply remove the double bond, and in both sides you will give hydrogen. So this is our repeat unit. If you are asked to make the polymer, this is our repeat unit. You see, I have marked the repeat unit. But if you are asked to write the polymer, so what will be the polymer? So just you will give the bracket and you will be writing N. So this is polymer. Don't get confused. If you simply write a repeat unit, and then if you give a bracket like this, as I am showing, as you give a bracket like this and give N, then it will represent the polymer. If you do not, if you remove this one, like I am removing this one now, if brackets are removed, so this will use this will represent the repeat unit. This will represent what? The repeat unit. Okay. I hope there is no problem. Let's go back to the question. So this is how you can answer this question. Okay, a second polycarboxylic acid present in unripe fruit is a colorless crystalline solid W. We don't know. Which has the following composition by mass? Carbon is given, hydrogen is given, oxygen is given. Okay, show by calculation that the empirical formula of W is C4H6O5. So you know how to calculate the empirical formula. Everyone, please do it on pen and paper. I mean, as I told you earlier, that always you keep a piece of paper and pen in front of you, so that whenever any instruction is given, you can write over there. So do it, everyone. I hope you are doing this one right now. If you follow my instruction, inshallah you will be benefited. There is no doubt. Do it. I'm giving you 2 minutes for completing this empirical formula. Some of you are giving me answers. This is good. C4H6O5, this is given already. How you are reaching the answers, you have to do it. Once you can prove it, fine, no problem. Let's go back. Look at this. I have calculated it here. So in the similar way, you match your answer. Sufficient time is given. So look at this. First of all, we will calculate number of moles. How can we get the number of moles? Mass divided by respective AR will give us number of moles. So this is how we are getting. So 35.8 divided by 12, 4.5 by 1, 59.7 by 16. So this is how we are getting the number of moles, right? Then this number of moles, I am writing the ratio directly. I am just I had little space, so I try to save. Otherwise, you can write equal sign here and you can write the answer. Okay, 2.98, 4.5, 3.73. Now we will divide all by the smallest number. So what is the smallest number here? 2.98. So we are dividing all by 2.98. This is approximately 1.5. This is approximately 1.25. So we are getting 1.5, 1.25. We have to simplify this one. I mean, we need to take the smallest ratio of integers, right? Smallest ratio of whole numbers or integers. So how can we get it? We are multiplying this ratio by 4. So it becomes 4, it is 6, it is becoming 5. So this is how we are getting C4H6O5. Let's go back to the question. I hope you understood. Give me the feedback, please, if you understood or not. Thank you for your feedback. Let us go for the next one. A sample of W. MR is already given. Sample of W, MR 134 of mass 1.97 gram was dissolved in water, and the resulting solution titrated with 1 mole per dm cube sodium hydroxide. 29.4 cm cube of 1 mole per dm cube sodium hydroxide were required for complete neutralization. Use this data to reduce the number of carboxylic acid groups present in one molecule of W. So do this question. A sample of W, MR is given 134 of mass 1.97 gram was dissolved. MR is given, mass is given. So mass and MR, that will help you to find out what? That will help you to find out number of moles dissolved in water, and the resulting solution titrated with 1 mole per dm cubes sodium hydroxide. Okay, 29.4 cm cube of 1 mole per dm cube sodium hydroxide were required for complete neutralization. Use this data to reduce the number of carboxylic acid groups present in one molecule of W. You do it, and after 2-3 minutes I will explain, no problem. Try, everyone, do it on the paper. Do it on the paper. Do it on the paper. Please do it on the paper, everyone. Okay, now let us see the see this one. I have already calculated here. Look at this. Number of moles of W, 1.97 by 134. So we have got 0.0147. And number of moles of hydroxide, how can we get it? From the given information, we have calculated number of moles of hydroxide, right? 0.0294. Okay, so this number of mole has been used to neutralize this one. So how many moles of carboxylic acid group? 1 mole of carboxylic acid group will react with 1 mole of hydroxide, right? So if we get the ratio, in that case we can get the answer for the ratio of hydroxide and carboxylic acid. So we have divided, it is 2. That means number of moles of carboxylic acid will be 2. Now, if you have any question, you can ask me. I'm giving you 2 minutes for this is open session for you. If you raise your hand or if you give me message, in that case I can try my level best to answer any of this question. If you have any doubt, you can tell me. You are free to ask me any question right now related to the topic which I discussed. Everyone. Thank you, Bushra. You don't have any doubt. It is my pleasure to know. What about the remaining students? Do you have any doubt? Okay, fine. You don't have any doubt. Now, you will be revising 2019's in the chat group. Everyone notice I'm giving you two worksheet basically. 2019 February March. I think you have done it February March. Paper 1 2 and 2 2. So this is your homework. This is your homework. February March 1 2 and 2 2. This is your homework. This is the last class before the next class will be the last class before the vacation, I think, Ramadan and Eid al-Fitr vacation. So you please complete your homework. 1 2 and 2 2. You complete your homework. If you have any question over there, you can ask me in Google Classroom, and I will try my level best to discuss. But make sure that you are giving at least 5 to 6 hours so that I can analyze your answers, or I can analyze your questions, your doubts, and I can clear accordingly. Okay, so my next class will be held on Tuesday at 4:15 p.m. as per the schedule. So you try to give me the questions by 10 o'clock on the same day. After 10 o'clock, it will not be possible for me to analyze the questions and answers, and it is not possible for me to clear the doubts at the time unless you ask me questions on live. Okay, so by 10 o'clock, this is your timeline. By 10 o'clock on 12th May, you have to complete your homework, and whatever doubts you have to ask me on Google Classroom. One more thing, I want you to revise another chapter, that is chapter P1, page number 246, page number 246, practical skills. So you will go through this chapter. Okay, you will go through this chapter, practical skills, page number 246 to 256. So this is second one. Yes, you have to submit your work. You have to submit your work. One more thing, notice. Okay, so today I will end up my class here. Thank you very much for joining. Hope to see you in the next class on Tuesday. Take care. Allah Hafiz.